What if you could record your dreams? What if you could actually record your nightmares? Now, I don't mean by video, but through some EVP process, you could record the voices that are in your head in your dreams. Listen to this.
This is an analysis of evidence collected during a 4-year sleep study. It suggests that out-of-body experiences may be more commonplace than we realize. I'm Jenny. Robert will sometimes use my computer-generated voice, thanks to his battle with stage 4 metastatic lung cancer. Robert's hypothesis is this: when we dream, our spirits sometimes leave our bodies to interact with disincarnate entities in the spirit world. The evidence is straightforward. While he dreamed, Robert discussed tense situations with many voices heard in the audio. Yet the video shows he was alone and was not the source of the other voices.
This is the bedroom where the out-of-body experience was recorded. At the time, there were 2 beds in here. Now, I live alone in a quiet neighborhood. I made sure all electronics were off, the TV, smart speakers, and everything. I got this iPhone and I set it there on the nightstand after putting it in airplane mode and launching a sound recording app. Then I took my iPad and I set it over there, doing the same thing with it in airplane mode. This is a Zoom digital audio recorder. It's used by independent filmmakers. It does not have Wi-Fi, does not have Bluetooth. I set it on a stand recording over there, and rather than sound activation, this one was just recording continuously all night. And then the kicker is this iPod, which was running another sound recording app like the other 2 Apple devices, and I placed it over there 25 feet away in the bathroom.
Now Robert will test that all the devices can pick up any sounds in the room.
This is to show there's no... This is to show there's no... Alright. This is to show there's no... Alright. This is to show there's no... Alright. This is to show there's no popping or tapping or knocking. So after about 20 minutes or so, there was a female recorded on the iPhone and on the Zoom, and this is what she said.
Hello. Hello.
How is that possible? The other 2 devices didn't pick her up. And she's quieter on the Zoom than on the iPhone, so it sounds like the voice was closer to me up here. Now, here's the evidence for the out-of-body experience. Just before midnight, I got into an argument with 3 other beings, spirits, or whatever. And it was picked up, not on this one, not on those 2. It was picked up in the bathroom 25 feet away. And when you listen to the recording, it sounds like it's right next to me. How is this possible? How is it possible that that device picked me up having an argument that these other devices didn't pick up? When earlier, they all picked up the same thing when I tested them.
The hypothesis is that the iPod recorded the voices by sympathetic resonance and not by using the microphones, or else the other recorders would have heard them. In a minute, I'll explain how Robert's voice was so loud though he was 25 feet away.
The first voice, please confess, I've never heard before. The second voice is me saying I can handle her, but before I finish, a female sounding voice says, we don't live with her. And then the other voices say, so there, it sounds like there's a woman, she's been kidnapped, she's been tied to a chair, but she's dead. Two men killed her. Man, it's just really weird. How could I have all of those voices? Now, if this were a one-off, you might say maybe radio waves somehow I heard the radio waves and started talking along with them. But I don't have just one of these, and I don't have just two of these. I've got hundreds of these, where after I start dreaming, I get involved with different entities.
Many times the DVR malfunctions just before spirit activity occurs. In this example, the DVR froze at 3:08 a.m. for 12 minutes. Meanwhile, at 3:13 a.m., the EVP saying to get out of the hall was captured. The DVR was allowed to record continuously, often giving evidence that it never malfunctioned when Robert was not in the room. This is why it was so important to record audio separately from the video as a check and balance. Before we show some more examples, we need to cover a few points. There are two kinds of EVPs, those made with sound waves and those without. Sound is a type of energy made by vibrations, which cause movement in the particles of a medium such as air. The sound will travel until it runs out of energy. These can be heard by humans. EVPs made by sympathetic resonance will not be heard at the time but are discovered upon playback of the recording. Thought waves vibrate at the same frequency as silicon chips. This imparts sympathetic resonance on the chips, which lay the thought waves on top of whatever is being recorded in the room. In the first example, there were 4 infrared cameras, a Zoom digital audio recorder, and an iPad on the back wall. There was an iPhone on the nightstand, and an iPod in the bathroom. The iPhone was running Sleep Recorder Plus with sound detection. The Zoom was continuously recording with microphones. The iPad was running Snore Lab application with sound detection, and the iPod was using Sleep Recorder Plus with sound detection. Had the Sleep Recorder app malfunctioned, then why did the iPhone's running of the same application not malfunction? The chips are different in the iPhone and iPod, which means the malfunction could be unique to a particular device. If the iPod had malfunctioned and played the sound aloud, then the other devices would have heard it. So it either malfunctioned but did not play the sounds out loud, or recorded the voices silently from sympathetic resonance. In either case, how did Robert hear the voices, and how did his voice get in the recording? If the vocal cords in his body had spoken, then the iPhone would have certainly heard it. It did not capture any voices during the argument. The Zoom was not running an app, and it recorded his normal breathing during the event. How is this possible? Robert's hypothesis is that a gate was opened in the mirror as suggested by the presence of orbs exiting the mirror. The gate remained open for the night. When Robert started dreaming, he had an out-of-body event where his body continued breathing normally, but his spirit entered the spirit world. When a gate remains open, many voices and other sounds can be heard near the gate. The discussion between Robert and the entities occurred in the spirit world and drifted out of the gate to be captured by the iPod through sympathetic resonance. This is why Robert's voice sounds as though it was right next to the iPod. A voice later said they have been arrested, This indicates there is more than one suspect. Robert tells one to surrender their weapon. Yes, labeling EVPs cause cognitive bias. That will be explained later. For now, it is important to know what Robert heard as it affected future decisions in the study. The value of the camera on Robert is to show nobody else was in the room with him. It also shows if his mouth was moving during the other voices. This demonstrates the additional value of having multiple recording devices. Although the camera paused on Robert, the bathroom camera remained functioning and shows that nobody had entered the room where the voices were captured. During the Please Confess video, the mirror camera recorded no activity right at that moment, but about 30 seconds later it was triggered by a fast-moving orb. Interestingly, at 2:45, Robert leaves the bathroom followed by an orb. On this night, there were over 1,000 recordings. But this is due to having the zoom set to record the entire night in 30-second chunks. When only the zoom recorded by sympathetic resonance, it showed that Robert might be missing EVPs with the other devices with their different chips because they were sound activated. In other words, for sound activation to work, the microphones have to pick something up. Sympathetic resonance bypasses the voice activation circuitry, so the recorder has to already be recording something to also capture the EVP. Before Robert explains why he labels EVPs, we want to play the most incredible EVP he ever caught.
Alright, we are recording. I forget how I lock this puppy.
Standing in the way of any process because standing in the way of any process because standing in the way of any process because to negotiate any place.
So hey guys, labeling EVPs absolutely causes cognitive bias, but is that really a problem? There are very clear EVPs that are a direct answer to a direct question, as in the following clip.
Could you always tell me in the recorder if you did it?
Oh, I got a class A, Mark.
Could you always tell me in the recorder if you did it?
But usually, they're far more difficult to hear. When I conduct my experiments, I make decisions based on what I've heard. I need you to know what I heard to understand why I reacted the way I did. After investigating EVPs every day for the past 4 years, I've discovered the real limitations of listening to an EVP that someone else has recorded. I've personally captured over 250,000 EVPs, and people often want to hear them and decide for themselves what was said. But here are some of the challenges. First of all, people hear words differently naturally. Remember the Yanni versus Laurel debate?
Laurel, laurel, laurel.
We analyze sounds using our past experiences as a guide. If I've been around a chainsaw or a camera shutter or a car alarm, I would apply those experiences when listening to the sound. In this case, however, I'd be wrong, as all three were made by the lyrebird of Australia.
That was a camera shutter. And now a camera with a motor drive.
Two people can listen to any clip, and chances are they're going to hear something different. You have to know the whole environment. If a person hasn't been in the room where the recording was made, they can't know what sounds belong or don't belong. For example, for my videos, what would an echo tell you? Well, my first answer would be to ask what kind of echo. An electronic sounding echo? That could be from the spirit world. A hard echo tells me it came from the bathroom, while a softer echo means the living room. What does it tell you if a particular device has distortion in the recording? Electronic distortion moves around from device to device, depending on where the gate opened. Gates affect both video and audio, giving you a great clue where to focus your investigation. I've seen gates open in mirrors, and I've seen them open up in the ceiling around my ceiling fan. Once open, a gate can stay open for the rest of the evening, allowing energy and other strange sounds to come in. EVPs mimic natural sounds too, like tapping on my phone sometimes sounds like an unbalanced ceiling fan. Another problem is that these EVPs are filtered for my hearing. A viewer would need the raw clip, then filter it for themselves. I would prefer people treat it like watching a paranormal activity movie. This is my story. The way I interpret it is how I subsequently reacted. When I interpreted a voice as saying, "Look up," I pointed a camera at the ceiling and caught the gate. What if I didn't label the EVPs and you heard something different? Then where does the story go? This has been a shocking discovery for me. I'm convinced that when we dream, our spirits leave our bodies and interact with the spirit world. This is my hypothesis. The next step in scientific method is to conduct peer reviews and then publish those results. I need your peer review, and it doesn't cost anything to try by using your own mobile phone and some free software. See if it's true for you too. It costs nothing but a little bit of courage to try, because if it works for you, your life will be changed forever, I promise you. There are several videos on my channel showing how to set up your own experiment. So hey, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. I've got tons of evidence that I'll be putting out when I can as my battle with cancer progresses. I'm losing my throat, so I don't know how much longer I got, my friends. See you soon.